Alrighty. Welcome to the show. Hello, everybody. I am TanktheElder. It has been more than a few days since I've gotten on to create anything for you guys. Life kind of jumped on my wife and I in this last week. So welcome to our channel, Magic and Mayhem. I am TanktheElder. My wife is Alora Star. It's just me in here today, playing some more Minecraft, building an Imperial Star Destroyer. But yeah, welcome. Let me do one thing real quick, just, so that I can see more things as they come in. So yeah, welcome to the show. I pretty much always play on whatever the newest full release happens to be. In this case, over the weekend, we had the release of, what is it, 1.2 to 1.6. So I have loaded that. So at the moment, I don't have a more fancy skin on it. This is just the default texture pack. But yeah, I've been able to play a bit in the weekend. I just was not at a point where my brain was capable of engaging you guys, and so I just played and did work. You can kind of see here, we've pushed a lot of the land even further back. So I'm getting close to the point where I can start plopping in the buildings and so forth that are going to make up the spaceport back here. Again, just to kind of give everybody the notion of just how big the Star Destroyer is. Let me grab this clay. But to give us all a reminder of just how big this sucker is, these are all 1-to-1 maps, and it takes, what did I do, 15 plus 9 is going to be 24, so 26 maps to cover nearly everything. And again, we're missing the tiniest corner there. I don't think it's truly necessary at this point to go and pull a map just for that little amount of space. I may do it later and just make that, instead of having it explicitly about the Star Destroyer, I may go ahead and fill the rest of the map in here. But for now, we're just worried about, this is what the Star Destroyer looks like in this area. And one of the last things I was working on, you can see now, I have all of the ribs above water filled here on the lower east side of the Star Destroyer. Those are all in place now, all the way out to where they run into the edges here. I think I need to start getting paper so that I can copy all of these maps. I want to leave it here where there's still clearly room to continue expanding what's going on in here. I do want kind of an early stage picture of all of these. So before I update any more of the maps, I'm going to go ahead, make copies, and lock those in place. But I don't think that's going to be something we try and tackle today. Just know that that is part of the plan in the future, to go ahead and get that all squared away. So I think because I don't have too many more ribs above water on the west side, lower, I'm going to go ahead, get those put in, and then we will see about continuing with getting the rest of them put in. I think I might actually have almost enough stacks of cobble to complete the lower sections, and since I had previously gotten excuse me, the central area here squared away, in terms of I have taken them all out to the extent that they reach above water, or they reach the water level. So I kind of have an idea, because one of the things that I intend to do down here is pull this as far out as I can on both sides. I kind of want, at least here in the back at the widest area, I want a lot of this to be my farm space for, like, I've got my iron farm. It's going to be a little bit awkward with the Elder Guardian farm, trying to get that not only working better, which I recognize part of that is also I just have to be over there and let it work. Probably doing AFK, which is something that I'm just terrible about, because I don't like leaving. I grew up in a house where you don't leave devices, what have you, on if you're not there actively with them, and that kind of transfers over to, you don't just leave a game running in the background while you do other things. And because a lot of what I'm trying to do with this is to actually present this world here on YouTube, I'm still trying to figure out, I probably should actually go ahead and be recording all of this to actually then chop off and, dub over to do kind of a, hey guys, here's a quick overview of all the things that I've done. And do more videos, since live streaming, it has a place within the Minecraft community. I don't know that I've established enough of a community of any kind to sit here and hope that people will really actually show up for the live streams for a little while. Now, obviously, if I don't do anything, nobody's ever going to find this channel. It'll just be another one of those YouTube channels that sits there and watches videos, and it would be a channel of a consumer as opposed to a creator channel at that point, which I don't want to do. I do want this to become something that even if it's a relatively small number of folks who come by, who get a chance to play, celebrate the fact that Minecraft, for all that it has been through in the years since it was built, is just such an engaging game. Like, one of the things that we're going to eventually do is I'm going to start taking, especially once I have folks that are part of the community, we're going to start talking about, okay, what farms do you think I need to set up? Like, knowing that I'm not somebody who's, like, I'm not obsessed with having automatic farming. Like, if I didn't want to have a certain amount of concern over getting food resources, getting other kinds of resources, I'd play in creative. Like, if I was explicitly about just building cool stuff in Minecraft, I wouldn't play survival. I'd play creative, because if I played in creative for this, I'd already have most of the work. Like, I'd be probably 30% ahead in the amount of work that I've put into the Star Destroyer. That's just how things are at this point for me. Because again, I can go for a certain amount of time, and yeah, I've got a lot of boxes that are full of cobblestone, and now I'm kind of catching up with the sheer number of boxes that are full of just stone. And I don't mind that. I don't need to have... I don't need to have infinite resources. Like, yes, it's a struggle to get out here, especially when the mobs start attacking at night. So it's a bit tricky to stay up on the platforms when you get phantoms swooping in, or you happen to be at a point, and because I haven't lit much of this up, getting a skeleton spawned in, and now it's shooting me on, even though I'm wearing full enchanted armor, like, it still has an impact on my figure, which can push me off of the it can push me off if I'm not particularly careful. Alright, I think we'll do another full one out to there, and then it'll be down to whatever else. And I'm not going to be surprised here in a few moments if we get smacked by one of the flying mobs that we don't mention by name. I appreciate that they've done something with that, but it's just such a... It's just convoluted enough to deal with them that it's more annoying than enjoyable to have a flying mob. I think we're gonna do... Yeah, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do 16, and then a 16. Sorry, I do have to concentrate a little bit here, because that is not as common of a number as just going half stack, half stack, half stack as we're going here. Okay. I think we'll do another one for sure. And I'm trying to make this as... Like, I don't want it to round very much in how it's meeting. There's going to be a certain amount of that is unavoidable, just because the angle that I have this coming together is not truly designed for I didn't sit down and calculate exactly where this is all going to catch up to itself, which is fine. That's the part of it that I'm enjoying building. And again, if I was truly worried about being 100% symmetrical on this build, I would build it differently. Like, I'd get a program where I can go, okay, I'm laying in these blocks, and I'm only building, half of this or a quarter of it or whatever, and letting the rest of it kind of be its own thing. I like the hand built feel that we're going to have coming off of this. And oh yeah, I just realized that's going to be way off. Sorry, I have a reference book from the that one I do think. Okay, that's fine. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Terrible YouTubing right there. But no, I wanted to check because this feels a little far forward for what it is going to be. So the lit up kind of cross element there is for the underside of the Star Destroyer. They have the reference book that I have calls it a solar reactor. But if you've ever played any of the games or paid attention to any of the shows, behind the main hangar bay of the Star Destroyer, kind of on the back third of that bottom, there's a dome that projects out. And like I said, the reference that I have calls it their solar reactor. Whatever it is, it's an identifiable enough piece that I've got to put it in, as far as I'm concerned. It's kind of the same way. One of the things that has to happen up here is we have to have those geodesic domes for the shield projectors up on top of the command towers. Like that's just an integral part of the Star Destroyer design. I can, if I really wanted to, for all that it would be off, if I don't put the backup engines into here, I don't think anybody'd be super worried about it. Especially because I know of no way in Minecraft to make this sucker actually fly, or even if it did fly, it's not going to have a whole lot of room to do much of anything anyway. So, at this point... Oh, that's what I did. That's why it's off. Sorry, I just realized I've been feeling this is too close. And I just realized it's because I forgot to take into account how thick the Star Destroyer is essentially between the middle here and up here, as well as then how far up the extra layers of so if you see it, there's kind of this diamond shape kind of defines much of the outline from the front of the ship. But then underneath the command bridge, there's a few areas where it kind of expands and it's built up so that there's actually a little bit more to it. And I just realized where I went and put the command tower is so far off, because it really should have been much closer to up here. And I think it's because in defining these, like where this is, which is supposed to be the top of those, I think I may not have accounted quite so much for the thickness of this overall diamond shape to the main body. So we may go back in and just kind of, like, I have at least the basics of this needs to be 22 blocks tall for the very front of it. I think it is far enough forward from the back of the ship that, like, I just need to push it further up into the sky, I think. And we may handcraft it from that point. That, I think, is going to be a project for another day. Now, granted, I've got a few hours here to burn till I need to go pick up my son, which life today was... I'll do it this way. My wife and I have been attempting to set a new schedule reflecting the fact that life hasn't been the easiest for us to get what... Like, I was struggling to get what I needed to get while driving to make sure we're covering our bills for a time. That seems to have changed at this point again. But yeah, we're trying not to constantly be changing our schedule around. But then we also had something where we had to get our son evaluated as best we can at the moment to see. There's concerns that we have that he might be on the autism spectrum, and I don't say that to garner any activity. I don't say it to get any sympathy. We've been noticing some behavior, and we're hoping to get some help to determine if it is in fact that he has autism, or if it's just because our situation has left him, like, we have not put him in a daycare where he's playing with other kids constantly all the time while we're away at work. He's been with my mother-in-law, and my wife and I are not particularly effusive people when we're by ourselves, like moment to moment. We have our capacity to very definitely be effusive, but it's not... We don't have as much tendency to be so just kind of as is, if you will. So we're hoping to find that balance between, okay, does he actually have autism, which is going to mean we're going to need to be aware of that, as we try and get him educated, or is it just situational because he's an only child, he's around a lot of older people all the time, that he hasn't had the opportunities to grow some of the emotional awareness and some of the other things that we've been seeing that, it could indicate that there's an issue. It could also indicate that he's just, because he doesn't have the pressure to learn it, or, suffer the consequences of not learning. Whether it's that, or if it's just he legitimately, he has a real struggle there. We're going to have to figure out how to adjust our parenting to accommodate for the fact that there are just going to be some things he's just not as aware of because he is on the spectrum. My wife and I are not necessarily we are not afraid either way. Aside from the typical parent could we have done something differently? You know, and again, if he has it, you know, there's definitely questions of, okay, how do we deal with that? And that's where it's the let's find out, because the sooner we find out, the more we can make sure that we address what needs are legitimately needs of his that he's not going to outgrow. Because one of the things I will definitely say is if he is on the spectrum, he is... I think I had it explained that the new way of discussing it is like levels 1, 2, and 3. And if I remember correctly, the lower the number, the more neurotypical presenting the individual. And I would say it seems an awful lot like that's going to be where he would be on the spectrum, because he's definitely not nonverbal. He doesn't engage in conversations the way others might, and he runs off of a lot of scripts. So TV shows that he's watched, different things like that. Like there are some very definite behaviors that would go, oh, okay, he's just in... he's not taking in the world the way that a neurotypical would. And I have to be careful, because certain things that have come up and conversations that putting so much focus on it at this point in time have made me aware of situations earlier in my own life that I go, oh, I wonder if, like, it's one of those, okay, is this just because he's got a personality that is very similar to mine? Because in the last 3 years we have learned that he may have some traits, like my wife does have ADHD, though hers doesn't manifest with a whole lot of hyperactivity in it. But she does have it. So there's very good possibilities that he also has the arrangements of neurons that make that a possibility, that he's going to deal with that in his life. But as things have gone along, we've kind of realized, like, he very much has a lot of my personality to him, far more so than his mother, which has led to, you know, more struggles in parenting for myself than for my wife with him. Okay, so we'll just come out the extra. There we go. All right. Yay! So that is now all of the ribs on the lower west side of the Star Destroyer. And now we're going to start working on... And I'm sorry that this is one of those more boring kinds of things, which is why I'm both verbally processing for you guys about situations in our life, and just trying to make sure that this does not get too boring for us. I do think... Because one thing that is very difficult to manage in building in Minecraft is dropping under what you're building. And to do basically to do this same thing up here, which it needs to do because it is a reflection of it, I may go into creative to make it happen. Because of the fact that it is not the easiest thing to, like, it is a more complex kind of thing to just drop down that single block as you're going along. So I'm still trying to decide if that is for sure what I'm doing or not. But yeah, so let's actually go restock. Whee! Blub, 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 blub. But yeah, so I'm going to start trying to finish out the rest of these, because once I get the ribs in, it's going to really feel like we've gotten somewhere. I mean, just looking at that, it feels so much more complete than it actually is, because there's something there obstructing the view. So let's run upstairs and take a nappy nap. We're right here at evening, and if I don't have to actually fight mobs, I'd rather not. I'm not super obsessive about it because I'm not playing hardcore. For one, if I did, I'd already be on a whole different world. Or have restarted this world several times. Sorry. Or I'd have restarted this world several times, at the very least. Let me do that. Because I am trying to... I'm going to have to do that. And let's just go. We'll put a new one on later. So I've been using the dripstone terracotta, the dripstone dirt to create clay mechanic for a bit. I have not found, so one of my great laments for now is I've not found a lot of the warm biome. Any of them really. I found jungle real close to starting to world spawn. In fact, I want to say I spawned in jungle. It's been long enough, I don't actually remember, because I started this world back April, I want to say. So, and I've not made the mistake of getting somewhere and dying and going back to world origin, because I've had my respawn point set quite well. So, but yeah, it's frustrating, because one of the things I know I'd like to be able to use for building, particularly here in the definitely Star Wars inspired areas, is going to be terracotta. Because it's like, if you get away from the Death Star, if you get away from Coruscant, if you think about what gets built in, like, the look of Jabba's palace, Mos Eisley, and then even looking at Naboo, are the big ones that I can think of where we've really had a chance to see let me to think how to say. There were already structures available to be in an inhabited world, and I don't know of any reason why you would attempt landing a Star Destroyer on an uninhabited planet unless you just absolutely had to. So for all that, eventually, like, there will be some kind of dwarven city, possibly an elven city, if I feel like I can find a way to enjoyably build in that kind of very lacy, filigreed kind of style. So there will be some points where I might be doing things like that, but for the moment, I am more concentrated on like around here. The spaceport is going to be Star Wars inspired, though I don't know that I have a specific building type in mind just yet. Excuse me again. Guess I should be taking a nap instead of streaming, but we're going to persevere. So, like I said, there's going to be lines and curves that kind of work together in... It might be a little bit too generic to truly just say, oh, that's Star Wars, but it's going to look a whole lot different than... Gracious, man. It's going to end up looking much different than, say, Star Trek or Babylon 5 or whatever. I want to make something that is going to end up feeling a lot more like Star Wars than any other sci-fi-esque world. But I also think this is going to end up being my forever world. And because of that, I know at some points, like, even if I have the energy and stamina to stay focused on the Star Destroyer long enough to actually get it enclosed, figure out some of the situations, like one of the things I do want to do, and I think having reread now the sections about the hangar bay, I think I'm going to have kind of the front third just be kind of wide open space, and the reason I'm going to have it be wide open space is that the implication is the smaller hangar bay there is where ground troops and shuttles and things like that are stored. So I'm going to dedicate as much of the front hangar space, or as much of the front as I can, and then kind of this middle section is going to be where we have the hangar bays for the TIE fighters and the TIE bombers. And I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to try and figure out how to do TIE interceptors, or if this is going to be a Star Destroyer that doesn't have those on them. Because I'm already uncertain how well I'm going to be able to reproduce the hexagonal wings for the TIE fighters. Weirdly enough, I'm a little bit less worried about the demands of creating the wings for the TIE bombers. And maybe I shouldn't be. Okay. So we'll do one more more stack for sure. But yeah, we'll figure out how we're packing those in. I'm still trying to decide, do I want this to be more, shall we say, art piece, so it is more about, it looks like Star Wars, you can walk around, it's big Star Wars, you can hop into a cockpit and feel like you're sitting in a TIE fighter as best as Minecraft can mimic that. Yeah, I think so. Alright. But yeah, for now, I've got to figure some of that out. And like I said, I think looking at what's going to happen, excuse me, with where the front hangar bay even opens out, and the idea of, the Star Destroyers are the Empire's battleships. They're also troop transports. They're also what we would consider, aircraft carriers. They are all of these things tied into a singular vehicle. Okay. I think we're going to start it here. So figuring out how to devise, this is what goes here, this is what goes there, to make it make more sense for how to break this up. Because we've never gotten a good sense in any of the media I have consumed, which is more of, it's primarily based on the movies, in terms of what I've visually seen about Star Destroyers. And we've not in any of the movies gotten a particularly clear notion of how it's laid out. What places you'd have corridors, what places you wouldn't. And so I'm just wary of the fact that there's a lot of unknowns. I don't want to just be like, it's vast empty spaces that takes you 10 minutes to walk through. Because this is definitely big enough. Like, you can run, because I think it's about 1,000 blocks or so that you could do in a day. I think we're going to do 8, and then whatever else is left. Because this gets us up. Yep. Okay. Then we'll just run this into... it's going to be one of those. Alright. We'll still come along here. There we go. That went further than I thought, but... That's right, I had thought, but... But I'd like it to have a certain amount of... okay, this is a place, again, I'm going to figure out how far I actually want to take that level just at water level and fill with, I don't really have a tree farm. I don't really need one currently, but I don't have it. I have seen the plans and intend to eventually make a automatic smelting setup. So there's some things like that are going to come along that I go, okay, this would be good to have a place to do it. And so a lot of that kind of functional part of the Star Destroyer, I think, is going to happen kind of here in this area. and that's going to be what determines where things are, what's happening with it, those kinds of ideas. Because we need to know. We got to figure something out. But then there's also plenty of place to go, oh, okay, well, here, once we've kind of established the outer perimeter for that, then I can go, oh, okay, well, when you come up off that floor to this floor, it's going to be, once you hit this point, well, that means that you're now in the hangar area, and we'll have some things that'll lay that out, and we'll figure out how we're putting all of that together. I may have to go back and watch some of The Force Awakens again to be able to make some interesting choices for actually piling, because there should be 72 TIE Fighter variants in the main hangar and the parts that have access to that. Nope. I do not want you. You seem awful chipper there, buddy. Seem very, very, very chipper about bouncing around in the water. But yeah, it's going to be one of those, like, okay, we're going to have to start dividing things up, figuring out, okay, how much of this is hangar, how tall are we going with stacking TIE fighters on top of each other, am I going to have any of them actually out of their rack flying, getting ready to fly? We'll have to see as I get this through here and into the center of the... you like bouncing around there, buddy. But yeah, like once we get to the center and see where this angle of the Star Destroyer kind of intersects with the hangar bay, how that informs the space that we've got there, just all those kinds of little details. And frankly, until I reach a point where I have more of this filled in, some of it I can't do more than go, I gotta figure it out at some point. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? What? Do you have, like, a message or something?
You do. What is the message?
Yes. The message is yes? Okay. Thank you. And now you fell in the water. And now there are two drowned underneath me. Oh well. I've got work to do. Whoop. Haha, caught it. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Working on this, so. Alrighty. So yeah, this is feeling so nice. Oh, now there's 3 drowned. Did you have somebody that fell off and transformed? Oh. I wish I knew for sure there was somebody other than myself watching myself right now. To know if you know anything about Minecraft lore, to see if they've actually ever come out and confirmed that the zombies are just previously Steves or not. Because if you look at how the zombies respond, aside from the baby zombies, they mostly mimic things that Steve can do. Not the least of which is they also mimic Steve's outfit identically. They've got the teal upper and the more purplish blue lower pants. It's disheveled, but one would expect that if one has died. And then of course it leaves an interesting idea of, okay, well, if all of the zombies are Steve, previous Steves that have been in this world, what exactly are the skeletons? Because they also, like, they don't have as much indication that they can interact with the world the way Steve can. But there's no other thing in the world that picks up a bow and properly uses it. So, I don't know. I could be completely out of line there. In looking around at the way that the way they keep making Minecraft lore reflect the odd, like, unless you're playing on a server, if you're doing what I'm doing and playing single player mode, there's nobody else in this world. Like, aside from the fact that she could create a copy of this, if my wife created an account and logged in, she wouldn't be playing in my world with my stuff. She'd be playing her version of it. The closest it might come would be if she signed out, signed in, and it left a copy of the world in her folder because it is on this computer. It might let her come in to the save file, but I think at that point it would also generate its own save file. But it is an interesting notion to sit there and go, okay, well, the zombies have to come from somewhere. And yet, when you look at them, they're clearly not the villagers, because zombie villagers are their own thing now. So where are you getting, and that just adds a whole lot of, okay, Steve's a clone. He has to be at this point for there to be that many of them. And for some reason, there's something in this world that does not allow a dead Steve to rest in peace. Which is kind of an interesting thing to think about. Okay. Actually, let's start with another one of these. Boop. 16. But yeah, we've got a lot of intriguing thoughts. So I've got to go up 2 and 3. I think we will do 8. 8. I do appreciate that for all they take you off of sneak. If you actually open your inventory, since I'm still holding on to it, because that was a thing that you had to do yourself before. Alright, so this is still... And then... Okay. This is going to run us straight into there. I think we're just going to go for it then. How we did the last one. Might be a little bit more than 16, but there we go. So, but yeah, so up here, this is the front and back of the main hangar bay. And so we've got a pretty good section, I think, that will have some space come back, and we'll have plenty to go up as well. But I have a feeling kind of this central section's going to be where we've got a couple different ways of getting the... Because you kind of have to have it wide open so that any or all of your fighters can get out at one time. Is the big thing I see as a necessity if this is how you intend to build your capacity to launch fighters. But yeah, I kept looking at it like this. There's something not right here, because I know at the widest part, I know that is an accurate measurement of how tall this is supposed to be. So we may just enforce that and go from there. Which is going to be a little tricky, because so this is lower. These still need to have those the shield projectors on them, so it's going to be a little bit finicky to get it all squared away, but I'm confident one way or another we'll be able to figure it out. So now apparently you can get into this one block high swim mode other ways. I need to figure out how you trick yourself into doing that. So alright, should we go see, because I did not check last night at all, but that was when I finished doing all of those ribs. So I think let's go ahead and see how this has been doing for us. For whatever reason, this seems to be the most used of the chests. There's not a good explanation to why that might be, as far as I'm concerned, because each one of these double chests only has a single hopper pointed at it. But I have to assume then the hopper that feeds into that one is the one that most of the iron golems actually die in. And if you were wondering, part of the reason why I am so interested in having an iron farm in the first place is I have decided at least part of the engine's makeup as I fill that all in is going to be iron blocks. I want it to look like a different material than what most of this is going to be built in, because of the fact that if you look at a jet, the engines are built not so much with aluminum as they are with steel when it comes to the actual engines. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. Another stack of blocks. Now, I have not sat down to calculate how many stacks of iron blocks I'm going to need. I just know that I am continuing to add more and more, and we're going to keep going until we feel like we got a whole bunch of iron to start figuring out what that's actually going to fill in for the engine. Alright, I need a dirt. I need a water bottle. So, dirt, mud, refill, back into the brewing. Now, I don't have any... Where did we leave this? It's just awkward potions. Alright, that's fine. We're getting close to the end of the day. Well, what else can we putz around doing around here? So yeah, I have an ocean monument there. I covered that all in mossy brick. Just trying to cut back on the number of guardians that spawn in, because I have some areas of this that are going to be very crucial to completing this area, and I was getting sick of having 20 or 30 guardians swarming me at all times. It's still a little bit annoying to get in there because they can, I think, to fully ensure that guardians are locked in there, I'd actually have to build that box at surface level. But it's a whole lot easier to handle them being 5 or 6 than it is to be there's 30 guardians doing a bit of damage every few seconds. Still not looking forward to trying to run the ribs through all of that. It's going to be interesting to see where they come, how they hit what I've built up. I'm not going to break that down any. We're just going to build around it as best we can. If it ends up, because of where it's at, if it ends up in the hangar bay or part of the hangar, we'll find a way to incorporate what's there into what I'm, what else I'm building in the area. So in that sense, it's not going to do any more to that at this point. But I do have that. You know what? I'm tired of swimming. And I do have a butt. You know what I could do, since I have a butt, and it's a butt with a chest, save myself an extra time of coming back in here. So let's do that. That's almost half a chest. Actually, that's over half a chest, really. Okay, so not you. You. Okay, let's do that. And fill the chest. And do that one more time. Well, there we go. we have a full chest and a full inventory. So, but now we can park the boat in here, and it's going to make it easier to get back for materials. So, probably really need you over there, but... Alright, boom. This... So one of the reasons that I'm doing all of these ribs is it gives me a better chance to build in a way that's going to make sense, first of all. Because I can't necessarily extrapolate from what I did creating the keel. So this goes all the way pretty much out to the very front of the ship. But I can't extrapolate easily from where this hits to this level, much less where it's going to hit doing the same thing up the center line. So yeah, that's gonna be some interesting stuff to figure out too. But yeah, the other thing that this ends up doing is it gives me a good place and a good way to come in here and know that I've made notable progress, because I can break this down into more useful and break it down into something that I can actually feel like, oh, okay, I got this accomplished. Whether it's, oh, okay, now I've filled in, pick a level and just fill that in the whole way up the ship, or go, no, let's actually kind of work down the ship by section. That part I haven't necessarily decided on what I'm going to do. I think so far it has made sense to fill in the smaller stuff in those corners completely, and then worried about doing more of the ribs. But yeah, a lot of what I find most helpful when I'm trying to build or when I'm trying to excavate is, let's break it down into some place where my brain goes, oh, well, you just have to get to here and then you're all done. Like, I could, find a place underneath all of this to harvest stone and just tear everything out. But I don't really have a sense at that point, aside from having, oh, chests are filling up, so I'm clearly getting somewhere. Which, there's a time for that. But especially before you get any kind of efficiency on tools, like, just the sheer drudgery of being like, I'm going to look over here and tear out as many as I can in this direction. If you don't have any kind of efficiency, much less like Instamine, the wild flailing around, I get so bored of it so fast. So for all that it's like an artificial thing, I break down gathering all of these lighter grays for the Star Destroyer. So the cobblestone, the stone, andesite. I have broken down mining it out from, I think level 7, with the way that Minecraft generates things now. That is the last level that you will... If that is the level you're standing on, that is the last level that you don't occasionally pick up a random piece of deep slate. So I know pretty much everything that I'm going to do unless I run into diorite, granite, or andesite is going to be either stone because I'm not using any silk touch, or sorry, cobblestone because I'm not using silk touch, stone because I am using silk touch, or the other other three varieties of generic stone there. Barring breaking into a cave or a geode or something, and I'm not 100%, but I don't think geodes tend to actually populate into areas above 0. I could be wrong on that. That's more of experientially. I don't feel like I've ever run into it above there. If that's not how the actual breakdown is, then my apologies. I just, like I said, thus far I have not. I don't recall, since they not only added the geodes as a possible generation in underground, but with the addition of the extra down to -60 world generation, I don't recall having found a geode in stone. But even if you do, like, okay, then I just, I have not had the opportunity to run into one at this point. So, okay, well, we'll go from there. Now, one thing I do need to find out, because I'd like to make an amethyst farm. Okay, so I'm getting close to needing to think about it. I think I have one. I think I've got this stack, and then I need to start doing more hops up per. We'll look at it again after we get this 32 laid in. But yeah, so it's. But instead of sitting there being like, oh, okay, I have no idea how I'm going to, just pick an area and mine, I started breaking it down into. I don't necessarily care how deep of a section I go, but I will break it up by cross trails. Essentially, I've got a main hallway, and then breaking off of that, it's side hallway, 9 blocks, next side hallway. To keep it so that it's broken up into, hey, that's a manageable chunk for me to get in there, mine out everything that's there, and then take that to storage as needed. And like I said, I haven't set an explicit, like, okay, this is how deep I go. Per section that parallels, or per hallway that parallels the main offshoot, like where everything spreads out from, branches out from. So, but yeah, the okay, so I'm gonna have to come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Let's do. So it's gonna be a little ways out there. I think let's start doing 16s though. And hoping this doesn't create too many super janky parts of the armor. Oops. Catch it right in my face. But yeah, so like I like breaking it down like that because then I can be like, okay, I need to go mining. I don't have the patience today to sit here and mine just kind of endlessly. So breaking it down to the like, oh, okay, let's clear out all of the 9 blocks wide area, 3 high. Okay, that's going to take me a certain amount of time. Going to get X number of resources, and again, depending on exactly how far back you do each thing, you're talking it's nine blocks wide. Let's say you go 30 blocks back. Well, okay, now you're clearing out 270 blocks per layer, so multiply that by 3, and I'm gonna need a calculator. I'm gonna do that. It is night. I'd rather not get knocked off here. Sorry. So let's clear this. So 9 by 30. Yep, so 270. So 270 by 3 equals... So 810, right? Blocks just doing the 3 layers that visually are in front of you. And then 270 times 4. Another 1080 to reach all of the upper ceiling. Or a little over a shulker box full for a 30 block deep section. What the... How far did I... Son of a monkey. Wait, why is... That was unintended. Alright. And this is the other reason that I use cheats. No, we're just gonna break it out. Start over. So, and this is something that I will do. I don't like doing it, but because I have left myself the option to... because I've allowed myself the option to use cheats. If there are circumstances that I feel like it is unwarranted for me to have gotten certain materials, but I go ahead and use them anyway. So, like, I don't have the moss to create all of the moss brick that I used, covering over the ocean monument. I did that part in creative. Well, that's going to mean for me, as far as I'm concerned, we're going to do 3, 4. There. So, not quite the smoother transition I was getting over there, but... And that's kind of what I mean by I'm kind of hacking this together as I do things. I'm not worried about that. Like, that's just the nature of freeform building. This is almost more performative sculpture.
Just a sec.
Hate when you get those boogers that you can just feel being at one place. Alright. So, back to putting these in. But yeah, I'm not afraid to use creative for certain things, but like probably when I do the ribs for the upper sections, I am going to go ahead and do that in creative just to save myself time and complaints. If I can think of a good way to manage it, it may be jumping back and forth between creative and survival. Just because either you're all going to have to sit there and listen to me counting to 32 a lot, or I'm going to be like, okay, jump survival so that I can count it off in the stacks that I have in my inventory. Go into creative to drop down a level. Reverse direction. Yeah, just different things like that where it's okay, we need a better solution to this, and that's where I'm not 100% sure how I intend to address it. Just because, like I said, if I do it for a broadcast, you're going to have to sit there and endure, like, the audience will have to endure me sitting there counting to myself to 32 every time I'm getting ready to drop down, because I don't have, like, once you go into creative, you don't have, the only count for blocks that you get is one that you do for yourself. And whereas because I'm in survival, I can just watch and it's what I've been doing while we've been talking about things, like I'm putting this all together. Yeah. Come here. Where you at, buddy? There you are. One of these guys taught me how dangerous it is to face them without having the appropriate attire early on, and is one of the reasons why if I had not, or if I had done a hardcore world, I'd have restarted several times, because one of those suckers got close enough to me while I was back over in my starter area, which is over there, and I think I died 10 times trying to take him down. All I had at that point was but yeah, all I had at the time was iron armor, unenchanted, and iron and stone tools, and he basically got me pinned back in my starter cave and messed me up good till I finally got him taken care of. So it's one of the, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I'm impressed by somebody like I've been watching Flip, and the work that he's done on his hardcore. I guess he's gone ahead and admitted this is probably his forever world. And at this point, now that he's 2 years into running it, it was 1.18. I get 1.18 that he started it, and he has gone through and done all of the things that at this point his only limitation is he does have to pay attention to his health, But yeah, like he's accessed everywhere. He's got farms for everything, or more or less. Now some of them, because certain farms have broken with updates and all that. But he's doing that, and he's doing it all in a hardcore world. And like, I respect the hell out of the guys that can play this. Like, when I die playing Minecraft, it is almost always because I've gotten cocky. And either I didn't have I shouldn't have tried to push through the resources and got myself in where, okay, now there's, 30, 40 mobs around me, and, it's not so much that any one mob is a problem, but they all have access to me, and even if I had, fully maxed netherite armor, if they're all having that many pile up, and now I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. I don't see no more, so let's get up to the top. Alright. Like, I respect somebody who is that consistent in taking extreme precautions about how they go about things to have lasted this long in a hardcore world. I will never take anything away from anybody for doing that. But I am not the kind of person who finds the enjoyment of Minecraft teetering on that edge of, I played one night when I was a little too tired, didn't think about how long it had been since I did X, and now I've lost all of what I've built in this world because I made one silly mistake. I don't find that part of it to be as entertaining. Now, I might, if we grow some community here and folks want to see how I actually do play in a hardcore world, I'm not opposed to playing in one. I just know it's not going to be the world where I'm sitting here trying to build a Star Destroyer in that world. I would get far too overwhelmed if, in getting used to playing in hardcore, and, either changing up, like coming back to this world and being like, okay, I'm way overprotective, so I start ignoring my my need to be responsive to mobs and what have you, because in a normal world, whatever, you can let them bang on you for a little bit and all that. Actually, been a while since I've seen one of these guys. Alright, let's see. Splashy splooshy. Alright. So most likely what I'm going to do with him is use oak, my blossom. I know I've got 8 emeralds. So here's what we're gonna do. Let's see if we can run that trade 6 times. Oops, let's do 6, but I want gray. Okay. Part of the reason why I want gray is I do want to do some gray glass. I also wish to do some light gray glass. And thus far, I don't believe I have found the appropriate flowers to be able to create an automatic dye farm for those colors. But there are some places that I have every intention of having glass to go in, create some portholes, windows, be able to imagine that you'd be able to see through some places. Because, I mean, we all know, if we've watched any of the Star Wars movies, like on the bridge, there are massive windows that are bigger than a person. They're bigger than Darth Vader, and I believe he himself is almost 2 meters tall, or a little over 2 meters tall in his whole suit. Been long enough, I don't remember for sure. So I spent 6 emeralds. Alright, and this is what I mean, where there are some times where I'm like, oh, I can either be in creative, because again, in this case, I saw the traveling trader and went, oh, let's just fly over because he's awkwardly out on this ledge, and I want to see what he's got to offer. Alright, so we'll throw gray dye in there, because I don't have a better... Now, I think if I want light gray, yeah, I can do the azure bluets. So, that's the thing. I have not seen the appropriate... I haven't seen the flower that will give you gray dye. Now, I do have those, what are they called again? Lily of the Valleys. So I can get white dye from that, and then if I figure out making a squid farm, I can potentially have black dye, white dye, gray dye, because color combinations. Color theory. So, but yeah, I'm not super worried about it. And then, oh, right, this is what I was leading up to, because I know I have emeralds in my ME chest. 3, 4, 5, 6. So, but I do that when I will do things like what I just did there, when I use creative to get something that, you know, in this case, I didn't run back here to grab 6 emeralds. You know, or, okay, I will, like, when I build the ribs for the upper part of this, I will go ahead and throw away some boxes worth of cobblestone, because I will use, like, there's no doubt in my mind that in doing what I've been doing, I have used more resources than what I had on me. So for some of this, if I do decide, oh, okay, this is something I don't want to struggle bus as hard on in terms of figuring out how to get under and build it that way. Like, so one of the things that I did is for getting the cones and then for getting the circles made for the engines, I went ahead and did that in creative. And I did that because it is, to me, it makes the most sense to be able to do things correctly. Oh my goodness. Sir, your llama has fallen, sir. You have fallen llamas. Okay. Good talking to you, sir. But yeah, it's finding ways to offset the notion of, okay, I can cheat into having X, Y, or Z, but it does still come at a cost to me because I don't know if I got off there. I think I might have gotten off there. I don't know. We're gonna... Yeah, I got off on that one. Because those are all pretty much in line. Okay, anyway. Okay, so... I think we'll do the whole... No. I need to start breaking it. So we'll do 32. So we'll leave it at 30. But yeah, I try and offset those times that I have used creative by getting rid of resources, knowing I'd have had to anyway, for building whatever it was that I was doing, and then, like I said, then it becomes that, like, okay, yes, I have access to infinite resources. I'm not trying to live as though that's how I'm doing this. I am attempting to play it, quote-unquote, straight, which is, okay, it still costs me to have these resources show up. So... Hi. You're gonna drown yourself there, buddy. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. That's why. Yeah, no, I need to finish this out. This one, because this needs to be... I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Because I really shouldn't have these equal yet. So... I messed something up. Well, alright. We'll figure it out. Because, yeah, this should not be on the same level yet, and it is. But that also means that we will follow the plan laid out for us. So I don't want it to be too extreme of a change between ribs that are right next to each other. Sorry, I had to double check my time and realize. Okay. So. Just checking. So, but yeah, it's things like this that I don't. I try not to actually just go ahead and waste resources, but like I said, because I have used. I've used creative to hurdle some of the creativity of, okay, so how do I actually scaffold to get certain things done? If I had a for sure measurement from out here up to those, like if I knew for sure how many blocks I needed to make sure that I was following the right curve, that it's going to land where I need it to, against what I've already got there in the back, I'd have no problem coming up here to this level and then building it back in. But since I have, like, none of these are working out precisely where the others are, I'm having to figure out how am I manipulating the sections to I need to actually run from this line back up to meet the diamond shape in the back. If I knew it was okay, for this one it's 5 stacks plus 17 blocks to do it on this one. Well, okay, that I can plot out, because then I can hop up, look down, make sure I'm over the right rib, and then go, oh, okay, this is how we're running it back. But I don't have, like, making these ribs do this curve in the way, or this angle in the way that they are, is not something that I really have planned out. So while I could set up a section where I can walk over to this area and then just do the same thing that I've been doing here, which is hop up at the appropriate point, I don't have it measured out to allow me that kind of freedom. Which is why I say I'm going to have to do it the more complicated way, which is going to be hopping up, figuring out where I need to go, like getting into creative, and then trying to figure out how to whether it's just me sitting there counting up to 32 as I'm working on a thing, or what the answer is going to be there. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. I think we're going to do this by 8s. Make sure Caught you. So yeah, there's just some of those kinds of things that like I'd love to do more of it without having so many risks to run in terms of, oh, well, I gotta pull creative out here. Okay, well, then we're just gonna dump off a whole bunch of supplies, because reasons. Come on. I think we're gonna do that, and then we're just gonna call it, because otherwise it's gonna feel a little bit more janky again. Because we can fill that in with stone, and it'll look just fine. So, but yeah, that's kind of a demonstration of like, okay, so how do I invert that up here, and is that actually even going to work out as we go back? Because I'm not 100% sure if that angle for the sides out to the front, if that's actually accurate to what's on the bottom. I'm not super worried about that, because again, this is kind of a bespoke one-off build of a Star Destroyer, but it does also have the problem of I've got to figure out how we're getting all of this coming together. And it's not simple. But yeah, I will probably, in the next little bit, figure out how I'm doing the ribs off of the diamond shape there. And like I said, that'll probably be a creative thing. That probably will also happen offline. Just because this is not the most entertaining of things to watch. Like, I love Minecraft. There's so much of it that is just repetitive grind. But it is one of the things that has made me aware of the fact that I probably should actually be recording this and then go back in when I feel like, oh, hey, here's a really good view of, okay, this is what I was working towards, and or speed up the footage and do a time lapse of, hey, here we're putting in all of this, isn't this cool? Get working on my announcer voice because it's awesome. Those kinds of things. To assist the algorithm in assisting me with becoming more successful at this. And, like I said, like live streaming is one of those places where as I get an audience, you'll come in here and we'll be chatting and I'll be building and it'll be all kinds of fun. But yeah, it's not the easiest thing to be like, hey, stop what you're doing, come watch me filling in these lines when it's, at this point it's taking quite a few stacks to finish a single rib. Like, the only thing that will be nice is here in the center, you can see, because instead of worrying about doing a full angle the whole way in, I have flattened off certain areas to make it worth my time. So once I get to those, I'll actually be able to fill my whole inventory and figure out, oh, okay, so it's not going to be perfect in finding it, but these center sections are all going to be pretty easy to do because they're all going to advance at the same height. And what's going to be the problem is out at the very nose of the Star Destroyer, we're going to have okay, this is where you're going to actually find very steep differences for 3 or 4 of those ribs, because of the fact that it's such an acute angle when you get out that close to the nose, that you really are having a pretty significant drop from these angles to what's happening in the rest of the ship. Whereas, out here, because it's not a terrible, I believe it's still an acute angle because we're working off of a right angle from that line right there where the cursor is. So in that sense, it's still an acute angle, but it's a much shallower one. So you don't see the drop off in the way that we're going to see it with working. I mean, because I don't think it's actually a 30, 60, 90 triangle that we're dealing with. It's possible it's close to that. Because it is a fairly regular kite shape to the overall Star Destroyer, but yeah, we're definitely going to start seeing places where it is much easier to you're going to get a significant drop off, because the keel is going to go I don't have it meeting up with the very front of the ship just yet, because I need to decide where. So one of the things that's not easy to see here, and I don't have a great demonstration of it that I can think of, but a lot of this outer portion of the outer hull, I'm going to do several blocks thick, partly because that will give me some opportunity to, in certain places, I can dig down into it a little bit to create increased texture options. That's what happened. That's why it was off like that. I need to go fix that. Eventually. That's what happened. I didn't think I had screwed it. That's what got screwed up. But because of that, it does leave me with some areas. Actually, here, before I get too far away from it, we're gonna run back, and I will show you what I mean. But essentially, I'm doing most of the outer skin of this as too thick, and really 2.5 blocks thick. And the half block comes because I want, for all that, I'm going to find ways to add lights, external lights, to the Star Destroyer, which, if you watch any of the movies, there are places where you can see light coming from the ship, because otherwise, if there's no light around, your eye can't see what the hell's going on. That's how our eyes work. So, but that also means I've got to figure out, okay, not only where do those lights go, but how do we perceive them? What are we doing? I want enough realism built into my Star Destroyer that, okay, you're building a Star Destroyer. Like I said, it's combination aircraft carrier, troop transport, and battleship all as one. Well, that means you're using armor. And this is what I was talking about, where I have slabs up here to mob-proof all of this, or nearly. I was rearranging some things because I have this polished tuff, which I don't think is going to be what we do. It doesn't have the feel I want it to have. It's also part of the reason why I've chosen stone to be most of this. But because I've raised it like this, even though this is where I'm saying the start of, this is the level that is the same as the rest of this level, which has now, mob-proofed this area. And that I've got to deal with, okay, there's some thickness of armor, so we're probably going to pull back into probably about here. This will be armor, and then there really won't be much in between what's happening up here and what's happening here. So this will just be kind of recessed area, which is reasonably accurate. So let me, and in part so that we can all see just a little bit better, let's pause the game. And I'm going to just hop real quick so that I have the big camera and it's a lot easier to see. Okay, so this is my reference. It is from this book. And the wonderful thing that I love about it is one of the big reasons that I pursued art in my education is this man right here, Doug Chang. He's the one responsible for the cool versions of the various vehicles that are in here. So basically what I was trying to say, way down here, that dome is what they're calling the solar array. Gotta make sure that I have that placed. Then of course we have the main hangar, and then in front of that you've got a smaller hangar. That's supposed to be like the shuttle hangar and things like this. So I don't think I can get it entirely to focus just because I'm starting to get a little too close camera-wise. And because it shows up much better in the prettier picture or the more dynamic photo, these sections that come up at a different angle than what the main this portion of the Star Destroyer do, that's why the command tower is so much, it's off so far from where I actually need it. I am going to have to go reclaim a few things because it's pretty easy to see looking at these drawings, what have you. The tallest area is actually the shield thing. There is no indication of, sorry, trying to, like, this shouldn't be showing up as close as I have it to the top of the command tower at this point. Which means that, I've got some different things that we'll have to address as we go. But, like, I'm going to have to pull this even further down, but push this up a little bit, too. Some of it is I think I need to establish for myself how big the shield projectors need to get when we go to address that, because that'll help me set the top of the bridge. And once I have that, I know how I did all of this, pretty much. So we'll just have to mimic that, and we'll just have to shove it up however many blocks it's supposed to be. Because I put... So, let's see. Alright, So this right there beside, yep, that right there that I've got my cursor on, that goes up the whole way to what is to be the top of the Star Destroyer. That is the tallest point based on my conversions of the drawings in that book into meters. Now, I've had to do some tricky things because a real Star Destroyer is 1,600 kilometers long. Or, not kilometers, 1,600 meters long. So just over a kilometer and a half. However, that means that vertically, it's basically 450 blocks tall. And even if I were to find a place that I would be okay with the amount of terraforming necessary to tear it apart, you cannot fit a you can't fit the command tower into a Minecraft world. Reaching from as low as you can possibly build to as high as you can possibly build, there's literally not enough room for it. So I went ahead and they gave one of the other vehicles that they have in here is the Victory class Star Destroyer. And that is supposed to be the kind of Star Destroyer that is pursuing Princess Leia's ship above Tatooine at the beginning of A New Hope. And that is 900 meters long. Well, if you adjust then for that difference, you can actually fit a Star Destroyer into a Minecraft world. However, that height is still a little bit funky. But from about 10 blocks below the surface of the ocean, which, again, it's one of the reasons why I chose to build here. It's not maybe the most conducive to what I'm attempting, because, if we go downstairs, there's a whole bunch going from the area that I started collecting resources in to the shift about 600 blocks or so to the east from there. That we had some struggles, lots of flooded caves at the level that I want to work at, all kinds of things like that. So it's not necessarily the easiest thing to be building this over the ocean. However, one of the things that it means is I can jump off of structure, and when you do that from such great heights, it's pretty dang exhilarating. And that is its own fun in its own way. As far as I'm concerned, to be able to dive off the top of your Star Destroyer is just fun. I have continued putting a whole bunch of things that will splat me if I hit them in the way as time has gone and as I've continued to build stuff. I'm going to miss the capacity to just go running off the edge of something and get caught. But that is also compensated by the fact that I have built bubble elevators between a lot of the different levels, and I'm going to continue to add those. That way I'm not constantly having to run up and down stairs. Just all those kinds of details. I still have to work some of it out, still trying to plan it so that it makes sense, so that I don't have weird places where it's coming up through areas I don't think it should, all of those kinds of things. But So there'd be ways of getting around the Star Destroyer pretty quickly. But yeah, there's nothing, as far as I'm concerned, quite like taking that plunge off the very, very top of this Star Destroyer and just falling for the better part of 200 blocks. So, to land in the ocean and, walk away without a scratch. Even though you would definitely be dead in the real world if you fell 200 meters. But yeah, it's one of those beautiful things about this build that I really enjoyed. But yeah, and that book is where I'm getting my ideas for what kind of, where I'm going to put the armor, all of that kind of thing. And if you go back and watch where you can see them a little bit, you'll notice that they're more or less usable space almost out to this, but there is a section pretty well represented by this angle and that angle where they add lots of little fiddly detail. And if you look at the plans, there's some kind of recess in that area to all of the little greebly areas along the length of the Star Destroyer. Okay, so we're getting close enough. Yeah, let's start doing... You're gonna be 16. You're gonna be 16. Oh boy, man. Okay, so that was 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay. But yeah, so there's all kinds of things like that where it's like, oh, okay, I can have these armored sections, especially out at the very edge of the Star Destroyer, kind of be their own thing, and then build some walls up, like, inside of that. So, like, it might be okay, in here, about 5 to 10 blocks, depending, that's all armor, but then there's some vertical spaces that kind of march along the same kind of angle as the rest of it goes. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting to try and figure out places, because one of the other things I'm going to have to come back and put in will be all the sections that have... So it appears to be a design choice that ILM/George Lucas made when it comes to building Imperial style ships, and that is, you always have some kind of what we might consider an awkward cutout, and you don't use too much in the way of perpendicular lines. And there's a couple sections where on the outer edge of this, there actually is kind of an indent that kind of pushes some of this further back. We'll have to figure out where those happen and what we're going to do about it. And just, so there's some fun challenges of things like that. There'll be some places for, okay, this is actually going to make for a pretty good... you know what, we're just gonna... I didn't count that right. Let's see. Yep, I think that's the way to go because we got that. We can do this one. Oops. 8. Yeah. Okay, so that is... Yeah, we'll come the extra couple. There we go. Alright, so now we got this nice big long wall. How close are we getting to the front here? But this is kind of what I mean, like as we come further to the nose, we're gonna have like steeper areas of disconnection, and it's only gonna continue getting like that. But, okay, so we're up past the front hanger, but there's still a good few out from that. So yeah, we just have some of these things that we gotta figure out a fun answer for. I probably should go back in and fix that. But yeah, we've got some different areas that we'll have to look into, and there's going to be lots of interesting problems to solve and sort out what we're doing. I'm getting a little bit tired and frustrated with this. I think for a palette cleanser, let's go over where I've been terraforming. We'll put the cobblestone away. And I think we're gonna put in what'll be the base footprint at least. I don't think I'm gonna necessarily build the whole tower because I'm barely conceptualizing it at this point. So let's go ahead and grab all of you. Okay, so not quite everything. That's okay though. We made a good effort for it. Should I take? I probably should. But I think we're gonna go lay the foundation for what will have been at like a terrestrial airport. It would be like their air traffic control or traffic control tower. I'm trying to think. I've got copper. Let's grab. Oops, this one. So let's grab all of you. Let's grab all of you. What options do we have? Oops, it's this one. So slab and stair on polished. And we do have a possibility of walls. Okay. And now we're gonna have to. I guess I could give you guys a quick tour of what's been going on down here while I grab a bunch of granite as well. So It's been a little while since I've been down here. There. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's also do this. Just to keep the... So, but yeah, I can show you guys real quick. I was talking about what my... what my mining setups look like down here. So this was one of the big ones. I love being able to look down and see all of the stuff that had been flooded out. But yeah, there were definitely a lot of places that had concerns like that. Some of them I might work into other structures eventually. Some of it's going to be whether I decide I actually want to build something underwater. Because quite honestly, it's really cool to look up and see things that have been going on in the Star Destroyer. So, but yeah, this is what I mean, where we have the... So I kind of did the ultra long hallways this way. And these will essentially, I can continue those in perpetuity as far as this world goes. I never really set an outer limit on that. But then I count, as I start dividing it up, this is where I will count the 9 blocks, punch a new area in, and this is kind of the setup to be able to continue going. So like here it would be okay, we'll go, I think this was one of the cases of I realized, wait, I think I've passed well beyond what I've already done, but this does set me up to continue to push this further out. So, and eventually I will have pulled everything above me as well so that it looks like this. This is where I started gathering as much as I could. And then when I feel like, okay, I'd rather go vertically now, we'll come up, leave a layer of a block thick, and we'll start punching out and doing the same thing on this level that we're doing on this level. But yeah, for the moment, we've got a bunch of different things that, like, I still haven't separated those off completely. For the moment, I'm not super worried about it, just because I've got a lot going on. But yeah, and then here, I'm not setting a super precise, like, this distance is considerably thinner than between here and here is a much shorter distance than between here and there. And that's where I'm going. I don't have a particular like, I haven't regimented my mining resource stripping facilities that tightly yet. I might, as I start having to be concerned about the efficiency side of things and just the sheer ability to collect resources, might temper me to go, okay, actually, to feel like you've gotten a whole section cleared out, you want to do 9 by 30, let's say, because again, we did that, and that, it's over 1,800 blocks that you're doing it, if you take out that entire 9 by 30 section as high as you can go. But that's enough talking about things down there. We'll go up and use the first bubble elevator I built, which is why it is so awkwardly placed at this point in time. And you can kind of see, because this is the bottom of the Star Destroyer. So I'm going to have to figure out what exactly we're doing to get down here, why it is the way that it is, where it is. all that kind of thing. So, but let's go ahead, take a yappy yap, and then we'll hop in the boat and row over. Rover! I think it's going to end up being behind us. Yeah, I think it's going to, maybe not directly behind this engine, but I think I might put it somewhere in there and figure out. We'll go figure it out where we're going to put the landing tower. I'm not going to make it, I'm going to try and give it as much opportunity to look like a Star Wars version of this, not copying off of the spaceport facilities from Attack of the Clones, or not Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. But let's come back here. Let's make sure. Okay, so if I don't have it to... Okay. Let's take the base. Let's just do basic granite for now. I want it to be down here on the bottom. Okay, so that is 11. Okay, and then we're going to do this. So 11. Oops, actually. No, that is okay. And then it's not going to be as deep in terms of how far back I'm actually going to extend it. And part of that is going to be I'm not sure how tall I'm going to make it. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, and that's okay. I'm completely fine with this because this section's also going to come out. Okay, right. So it's going to feel close to square, but not quite. And we're going to keep the idea that we don't do much in the way of perpendiculars. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then 1, 2. 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. I think I'm gonna like the size of that, because till I get it up high as I would like to. 1, 2, 3. It should feel slender, slightly that's what we're gonna do. I think that's what we're gonna do. So that feels reasonably large, but also with that notion of like this being air traffic control, it's going to benefit more out of height than it will out of hate to say the word, but girth. Okay. And we might have to go ahead and carve out that side as well. So, but I feel like this is going to give me the weight of presence we need to... Alright, we're going to push things. Okay. Now, let's just tear all this out. And I think I've got enough. I might not be able to do much higher than this for now, but I think it'll at least set me up. It'll also give me a, aha, we have a definitive use for granite. So use case scenarios go up, and yeah, we get a chance to expand from there. So let's go ahead. And let's get back on the horse here. So, because we're definitely going to push this up eventually anyway, up higher than the old landscape. Even though, like I said, this particular section's probably going to come out, which will push us further away from this feeling like, oh, this is a tower trapped in it'll make it feel a lot less like it's trapped in the landscape like it is for the moment, and much, much more like it's a freestanding tower that is related to the spaceport, which will be good. These are the things that we talk about. These are the things that we talk about. I don't know where that came from. I am noted at times for being very, very silly. And I am okay with that. Like that is an assessment of me that I will happily take for myself. So, alright. I think we're gonna do this. Get this all in for the first 4 layers of the tower, and then I think I need to go ahead and get myself ready to go pick my son up. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be real good. For now, let's just pull this out. Like I said, eventually this will all end up going away because this is one of the sections that I still need to tear out of what I've been terraforming. So, but for now, this gives us a nice big floor to be able to work on something other than the Star Destroyer. Help start integrating everything. So, and I kind of like the notion of using this red to be a... Now, I'm going to have to come back through at some point. Might have to build a bunch, or fire a bunch of bricks to get it, keep breaking the texture up a little bit better, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think I'm liking this. And let's come back here. There we go. This is my silky touch. So, alright. But yeah, because my mother-in-law has important things to do this evening, and so I need to not make her wait on me to retrieve our son. But yeah, I think that's a very good start to some of the spaceport stuff. And then I think as I start finish terraforming back as far as I intend to off this beach, we will probably come back through, and I might go ahead and start submerging the stuff there in front of the wall, in service of also one of the things that I've spoken about other times while I have been streaming in this world is creating essentially a heat shield to put in behind the engines. Because if you're bringing your starship to a spaceport, you're getting work done on it. If they do anything with your engines, you're going to want to make sure your engine's running before you attempt to leave gravity and the spaceport. And they don't want you to burn their spaceport to the ground. Because even if you say, ooh, hey, this is... some kind of sci-fi magic engine, it's still going to be releasing some kind of energy, because that's how you get movement from something, is you're releasing energy of some kind, and there isn't any kind of... There's no way of doing that without some kind of energy lost in the transition between the fuel that you put in and the into the engine and the engine's capacity to move your spaceship around. So yeah, those are good things. We'll take this clay back out here to the ship, because terracotta might be another one that goes into the tower. So, and against this, 500, so the Star Destroyer here, as I'm building it, is 900 blocks from there to the front of it. It is 505 from that side to that side, and it is 200 and... let me check. Because it is the least hopefully 263 blocks tall. So it's a big ship. So some of the buildings are going to definitely get dwarfed by it, and that's okay. Like that's almost expected, really. But we do want to make it, clear that this is part of the world. We'll probably make the attempt to not drop to not have like the very clearly fantasy medieval stuff too close to the Star Destroyer. I don't want to have that much cognitive dissonance going on. But yeah, that's one of the things I was saying earlier. Like, I'm intending this to be a forever world. I will eventually get done with building the Star Destroyer. And for as big of a pull as that will be for folks to come in and see what I've built, eventually I'm going to be done doing all of the things that I can and for building the Star Destroyer. And so that'll give me time to start then going, okay, where else do I want to build? What else do I want to build? What sounds fun? Doing some of this Spaceport City stuff, that'll be a lot of fun. But, like, if you go south, there's some really, really cool high mountain type areas that'll be very good. Well, they're far enough away from the front of this that, like, it's going to take you, like, 2 minutes to travel to start seeing the Star Destroyer, but that's still quite a ways off of where I'm at here. But yeah, we'll leave this here, and we'll do that. We'll do this. Come back. Like I said, unfortunately, life is going to have me moving on to take care of my son now. Things like that. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to wrap it up. Again, our channel is this is Magic and Mayhem. Mountains and Mayhem is Alora's other channel where she shows off our garden. She also has done what she calls her Minutes of Peace. They're 1 minute long videos of beautiful waterfalls that she's found, times just soaking in bird calls around her, just different things like this, offering people a chance to take a nice deep breath for a minute and before moving on with your crazies. So if that sounds good, definitely check out Mountains and Mayhem here on YouTube. Please, if you stumbled across this, if you're interested in coming back and seeing where this Star Destroyer goes from here and beyond, please like and subscribe. That way YouTube will let you know, hey, there's something going on here. I'm trying to get consistent about broadcasting throughout the typical business week, because of the times that I have where I don't have to worry about my son so much. So if you're looking for new stuff, I'm trying to be here and able to upload daily if I can. We'll see how life allows or disallows for that. So thank you for watching. Again, please, if I was entertaining at all, please leave a like and subscribe so you can come back and find me again. I know there's loads and loads of people to watch. I hope I am fascinating enough for you to come back and watch me. And that's going to do it for me for today. And I am TanktheElder. See, not fully polished as a YouTuber yet. But yes, I am TanktheElder. My wife is Alora Star. And yeah, hopefully we will be able to continue pulling content and pulling people who are interested in seeing it. I will catch you all in the next one.